All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending. We're excited to be presenting this information on Community Reinvestment Act, and we definitely thank Haven Neighborhood Services for this partnership opportunity. Obviously, it's something important to us as a bank anytime that we're able to help out in the community and just spread information about resources that are available. So let me start with introductions and then we'll jump into the presentation. So first off, again, my name is Robert Acevedo. I am the Senior Vice President and CRA Officer at CTBC Bank. And I'll hand it up to Linda for her introduction.
Hi, and my name is Linda Maldonado, and I am the Community Outreach Officer for CTBC Bank. Been with the bank for 10 years now, and a happy, proud supporter of collaborating with nonprofits and community-based organizations. So we look forward to answering any of the questions that you have as it relates to building a relationship with your local community bank. And I'm going to give it back to Robert so we can get the presentation started.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Linda and I are going to be tag teaming this presentation. So we're going to be trading off on each slide. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the presentation. So yes, this is the power of collaboration. So banks work best when we work with our partners within the community. So this presentation talks about the framework for which banks do that. It's called the Community Reinvestment Act, CRA. So as you can see, it's definitely a partnership between nonprofits and banks. So let's move on to slide number 2.
Okay, so throughout the presentation, you're going to hear a few things, but we started with our introductions. Secondly, building relationships with banks, the importance of that. Building sustainable partnerships with banks. We're going to even give you tips on how to build sustainable partnerships with banks. We're going to give you a quick overview of how banks operate, and then how banks are regulated, assessed, and rated. And then finally, we're going to end with an opportunity for you to ask any questions or perhaps provide any comments on your experiences with banks and your collaborative partnership with them.
All right, so CRA, what is CRA? So CRA, it's the Community Reinvestment Act. So all banks are federally regulated. So what that means is banks have to adhere to this guideline, the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act. So it's a federal law that encourages federal regulated financial institutions, so those are banks and credit unions, to help meet the credit needs of the neighborhoods that they serve through safe and sound credit services and lending practices. And they do that by providing retail banking and community development services. And that focuses on low to moderate income families and neighborhoods.
So why is CRA so important? Well, first and foremost, it was enacted back in 1977 in response to redlining. And for those of you who are not familiar with redlining is a practice of arbitrarily denying or limiting financial services based on a neighborhood's racial or ethnic composition. And it's been historically very, very blatant that particularly neighborhoods of low to moderate income, neighborhoods perhaps that were predominantly Black and Brown, there have been some unfair practices lent against those neighborhoods, and certainly not for any fault of their own, but definitely we wanted to make sure that we made clear to you, the nonprofit or community-based organization, that there are laws in place that make it possible for banks to provide safe and sound services to low to moderate income families and neighborhoods.
All right. So building relationships with banks. So as you can see, community organizations and nonprofits, they can help banks understand what the community's unique challenges are. So I know our bank, and all banks are like this, we look to nonprofit organizations. We want to develop great relationships and partnerships with them because who knows, who better knows what the individual needs are in each community than local nonprofits who serve those needs. Every day they meet with community members and they're providing services, needed services. So they're kind of on the front lines. Banks are there in the community as well, but we obviously we focus more on helping clients open up new accounts, helping them reach their goals if it's starting a new business, buying a home, buying a car. But nonprofit partners, those are the ones that are really, really in the communities. And there's so much need right now. So it's more important than ever that banks establish those great relationships with our local nonprofits. And of course, education. So nonprofit organizations, they're there seeking strategic partnerships with banks. So banks have resources that nonprofits don't have access to. So we can bring those resources to them. And a lot of that includes investments, donations, as well as access to resources, funding resources that can help expand programs, expand the funding possibilities for nonprofit organizations to help their programs grow and meet all the needs that are out there. So it's always a win-win when it comes to banks and nonprofit organizations. Linda and I work a lot with all of our local nonprofit organizations, and we're out and about all the time. So it's something that is near and dear to our hearts. A lot of people have the misconception that banks aren't involved in the community, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We're definitely involved, and we always are eager to partner with our nonprofit organizations to help meet the needs that are within our communities.
That's great. And so thank you, Robert, because this leads now to the next couple of slides. And this is how we are asking for you, and we're giving you directions and tips on how to build sustainable partnerships with your banks. Haven is going to be sponsoring a huge partnership next week, a summit, and banks will be on hand because they want to hear what you bring to your local communities. So when we are there, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you bring, your services, and this is how you're going to do it. First of all, provide financing. We're going to be able to talk to you and provide some information about providing financing for housing nonprofits to preserve or build affordable housing units. If you are in a housing nonprofit, perhaps there's an opportunity there for us to talk about what we can do and working with you. Number two, we collaborate with financial counseling organizations to finance education and support. We are there to provide financial literacy workshops and perhaps teach financial literacy to your low to moderate income families and small businesses. We are also there to partner on volunteer projects, either hands-on or virtual mentorship opportunities in the areas of finance or employment development or working on a resume, workforce development, things like that. We also are available for sponsorship toward community events that serve and strengthen the community, such as financial empowerment workshops or training for small business entrepreneurs. And I know that whenever you hear the word sponsor, oh yeah, the bank will give us money. No, that's not what it is. That's not what it looks like. What it looks like is that you will get the support from our banking staff to be there to help support what conference you're having, or perhaps what expo you're having, or perhaps a class or workshop, something of that nature. And we will, myself or Robert or some of our bank staff, we come in, we set up a table, and we either lead a workshop or we are answering questions from those who are needing information from us. But those are just a few of the ways that you can start requesting a partnership and a collaborative effort with banks. Here's some more.
Great. Yes. And as Linda was mentioning, there's numerous ways that banks can work together with nonprofit organizations to help meet the needs within the community. The ones that are listed here are just a few ways. So another one is partner with service providers to help banks fulfill their CRA goals in low and moderate income communities. If you're not aware of this, each bank is federally regulated either by the Federal Reserve Bank, the FDIC, or the OCC. So periodically, every few years, banks actually have to report to their federal examiner what they've done under the Community Reinvestment Act. So under that act, there's 3 tests: lending, investment, and services. So they have to show what they've done within the community under those 3 tests. And that's something that each bank is different. So sometimes they'll be looking maybe to expand affordable housing. Another bank may be looking to do more lending to help small businesses grow. So every bank is a little bit different in terms of what their goals are. So that helps you. If one bank says they're not interested in working with you on a particular project, that doesn't mean all banks are like that. So it's important that you reach out and see which bank is the best fit for whatever it is that you're looking for support on. Engaging bank staff in financial literacy activities, that's something that all banks look forward to. Banks have a lot of staff members that are specialized and have special skill sets in different types of financing and lending. So we're more than happy to provide that expertise that our individuals have to help your nonprofits, to help community members, whether they're individuals or families looking to buy a home, or small businesses looking to expand. We're more than happy to help provide our staff to help you with workshops and things like that. And lastly, there support tools. So again, banks have lots and lots of resources that we're more than happy to provide as part of what we can do in a relationship with our local nonprofits. So that can be, like it says, tools, research, insights, anything that we have as a resource. Obviously, we want to make those resources available to you as well.
Okay. So, tips for productive partnerships. Let's start the conversation. When we see you on the Partnership Summit next Friday, these are some of the things that banks are going to be looking forward to hearing from you. We don't want to talk to you about CRA in general, but what we do want to know is, do your research. You want to start the conversation and establish the connection, right? You want to meet the bank that best helps to serve your needs and establish a connection with their respective CRA departments. As Robert mentioned earlier, each and every bank has one. So you're going to, during that time of the partnership summit, you're going to have a time to pitch each and every single bank that's represented to see which one can best serve your needs. The next thing you're going to also provide is demonstrate your organization's effectiveness. Banks are going to also do their research on your capacity and ability to deliver on the services and the programs you provide. However, be prepared to answer questions. Provide an impact report. If you have financials as well as your verification of your nonprofit status, that's great. We need to know that. We need to see that you have this, that you have programs that are up and running, and that you're seeking our support to help continue the effectiveness of that program and service. At first, banks will want to confirm their missions are in sync with one another. A great idea to bring during your pitch session is if you already have an annual report, have that with you. We'd like to know what your mission is. We'd like to know what your vision is for your organization. And then let's see if that mission and vision syncs up with the work that we are doing. If you can have that information available, that would be greatly appreciated. And then understand the CRA process. If you are here with us this morning, then you are already one step ahead of the game, because now you understand that because banks are regulated and because there is a CRA process in mind, we don't have to spend that time during the pitch sessions understanding and explaining it. You already know it. So right now you can rely on banks to provide funding to fulfill your mission if it's in concert with what we're doing. We do offer donations and grants, and while they're not fulfilled immediately, do understand that there is a process and that we are willing to talk and take the time to establish that banking relationship before any donations can be made to your organization. And then finally, partnerships evolve. Regardless of how successful a partnership may be, they are not static, which means those relationships may end up changing and shifting for whatever reason. It can change depending on the effectiveness and benefits for both the bank and the nonprofit. I know that, when we look at our CRA portfolio every year, Robert and I go over to make sure which of these partnerships really are significant and growing and could use our continued help and support. And then we also take a second look at those partnerships where perhaps they don't need our support because they're already growing and effective on their own. And we're like the mama birds. We let the chicks fly, and we allow them to evolve and grow on their own. So these are just a few of the tips for developing that productive partnership when we see you next Friday.
All right. So how do banks operate? As you can see here, banks are a key driver of the economy, and we address all aspects of money management. So for banks, a big part of what we do is obviously deposits, loans and lending, and risk and asset management. One thing to keep in mind is banks, we want the communities that we serve to be successful, obviously, because if our local communities that we serve are successful, then our banks in turn will be successful as well. So we do everything that we can to help ensure that our local communities are growing and thriving. And if there's something that's missing, we obviously want to put some resources in there to kind of fill in the gap. And that's where nonprofits come in, because our local nonprofits help us identify where those gaps are, where some resources can be allocated to help help any areas that need a little assistance. So that's where the partnership comes in. So banks, we have been partnering with nonprofits since our country was founded. So it's obviously a win-win for each of us. So that kind of helps you get an idea of how banks operate and the mindset that we have. Obviously, again, we want our communities to thrive, and the way we do that is supporting them in any way that we can.
Mm. And so I wanted, along the side of educating on banks, I wanted to make a clear delineation of the difference between a commercial bank, which are usually your larger banks, your Chases, your Bank of Americas, Cities, Wells Fargo's, U.S. banks, et cetera. And then there are such things as what's called a community bank. And in the case of a community bank, Robert and I, we work at a community bank, CTBC Bank. And our mission, our tagline is "We are family," which means relationships are key. I don't want to force you or tell you what to do, but it has been my personal experience that working with your local community bank has been much more of an advantage to me personally, because I know every single person in my community bank. I know who the financial relationship person is. I know who the branch manager is. And because I'm there talking to them in a consistent, a regular basis, they know what my needs are. They know what I'm looking forward to do financially. So looking to your community bank is such a huge, huge part of the work and partnership that works with communities. They're locally owned and operated. They're also typically, these banks have typically less than $10 billion in total assets. And they concentrate on customers in specific geographic areas, which is exactly what CRA is about, right? CRA, we want to make sure that we are tackling our low to moderate income neighborhoods, our low to moderate income families, our low to moderate income small businesses. And so having that relationship, having that information available is going to help us to help you thrive in your areas.
All right. So I touched on this briefly a few slides ago, but how banks are regulated, assessed, and rated. So again, all banks are federally regulated by one of three federal agencies. So the first one there, as you can see, is the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. It's important for our nonprofit partners to understand their bank partners, who they are regulated by, and what how they need to operate, and what rules and regulations that they have to adhere to. So we're presenting this information to help you understand how banks are set up and operated. So I mentioned the FDIC. For CTBC Bank, our bank, this is our regulator, the FDIC. So they're an independent agency that was created by Congress to maintain stability and public confidence of the nation's financial system. The second regulator that's listed here is the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, or the FRB. So they're charged with overseeing Federal Reserve banks, which provide emergency funds to banks as a lender of last resort and help implement monetary policy. And then the third regulator is the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So it's an independent bureau of the Treasury Department. The OCC regulates national, federally chartered banks and federal savings associations. So I know that's a lot, and a lot of it may not make sense, but definitely if you're working with a bank, go ahead and ask them, who's your regulator? What does that mean? Because again, all banks are federally regulated, but again, every bank is different. They're set up differently. They may have different missions, focus, but again, all banks work to help them meet the needs within the community. So again, it helps our nonprofit partners understand the framework, right? What are the regulators out there? What is CRA? So that's why we're providing this information to you.
And how are banks regulated and assessed and rated really goes a long way with how effective we are in the community and working with you. Those regulators that Robert just addressed we are literally examined every couple of years, every 2 years, 3 years, and examiners are evaluating a bank's qualifying lending, community development investments, and services in its assessment areas. That means that the work that we do matters. The work that we do with you is taken into account, and it is being examined every 2 years to make sure that we're doing exactly what the law says we're supposed to do as it relates to CRA. And if you want to know what an assessment area is, an assessment area is determined on where the bank, that community bank has, or I'm sorry, the bank, the credit union, whichever bank it is, has branches or deposit receiving ATMs or surrounding geographies where the bank originated or purchased a substantial portion of loans. So whatever area your bank is located is you should be in a relationship with that bank in that area, and they are required by law to follow a CRA program, a plan. So be mindful. It's not just us, it's all of the banks, and all of these banks are being regulated, they are being assessed, and they all are being rated. As a matter of fact, you can even go into your local bank and ask them for their CRA report to know how they've been rated, to see how effective they have been in working with communities in your neighborhoods. Okay. So this is our wrap up. We are done. We've said all that we've said. We want to thank you. And we're going to now, we're going to end the presentation, and we're going to leave it up to you. If you have any questions or any comments, we'd love to hear them. And let's see how we can address them during the remaining time that we have together. Great. Okay. So I imagine the comments and the questions are coming to you. Okay. It's a shame we can't. I'm sorry, we're not on the other platform. Mm.
That's a great question. Usually banks, what they'll do on their website is they'll list or have photos of different things that they're doing within the communities with local nonprofits. So this could include volunteer activities that they do, different nonprofit organizations that they support, maybe with monetary donations, different lending programs that they do. So yes, that's a great way to find out very quickly. Just pull up a bank's website. There's usually a CRA section or a community section where you can just get a quick glance of some of the type of projects, some of the type of activities that a bank does. So if you're looking for something in particular, you could look at a few quick banks, and if there's something similar that you're doing, that'd be a great opportunity for you to reach out to that specific bank. But yes, that information is out there publicly. As Linda mentioned also, in terms of examinations, this is public information. All banks are examined in a performance evaluation. So that information is put out every few years, and it's publicly available. So you can see all the different activities that a bank does every year, and you can see look at that and see how they're rated, if they're performing at a high level, a satisfactory level. So that information is available to you publicly as well. And of course, if you ever have any questions about how to get that information, any bank will help you access that information.
Mm.
You want to take that one, Linda?
Yeah, no, I see that. That's a great one. Yeah, we definitely, that is a great portion of the work that we do with CRA, right? Workforce development is a contributing factor to our economic development of a community. More families, more people who are employed, employable, are then employed. and their work, the money they earn are then spent in those communities. So yes, workforce development is a huge part of the work that we do. So we often tap into our very own human resources department, or even those of us who love to write, and who's written a resume. We sit down with young people, young adults who are getting ready to go into the workforce, to help them write out a resume, perhaps give them advice on how to create a cover letter. We also participate with organizations on various mock interviews. We've been tapped by several organizations that sit in a classroom with young adults, and we teach them what it is to network, how to network. We also give them opportunities to practice what that elevator pitch, what that beginning networking conversation should look like, how an interview should be conducted, what to wear, what not to wear, what time to arrive. So these kinds of employable workforce development basics that perhaps we learned when we were back in high school, in long time ago, that are not being taught, unfortunately, in our high schools today. We're teaching them now. And so we do have bank staff that's available to help in that regard. Ooh, that's a great question, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, obviously, anytime there's a federal disaster that's declared, anything that a bank can do to help that area recover can potentially qualify under CRA. So, yes, whatever it is, whatever program or mission or service that you're looking to do within a designated disaster area, yes, that can be considered for CRA purposes. So, yes, definitely bring that up to your local bank partner or any bank and see if that's something that can work together. I know with the recent wildfires that we had here in Los Angeles, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources have been devoted by banks to those areas that were affected by the wildfires in terms of recovery. So yes, that's something that banks are keenly focused on because obviously these areas have been impacted, and we want these areas to get back to where they were before the disasters that happened. So great question. So definitely the answer there is yes.
There was someone slowly typing. They were typing. Yeah. Mm. Great question. I know that for us at CTBC Bank, yeah, the branch is your first line, right? Because they are in your community. So yes, with us, the branch manager, if you go to and you approach your branch manager or whoever your banker is and tell them, I'd like to know more about your CRA programs and would like to connect with your CRA department, they will collect your information, your name, your contact information, and they will forward it to us. And if you come to a CTBC branch, yeah, you're going to be referred to either Robert or myself, and we will make contact with you. But first things first, I'm going to hit website. I want to know what you're about, want to know who you are, what your mission is. We're going to want to know what programs you have available, what your neighborhoods are. We're going to want to know all that information, and then I will probably give you a call and try to set up a meeting with you, and so we can discuss further how that partnership and collaboration begins. So yes, definitely check with your branch manager. But if you have the blessing and access to the actual bank office, ask for your CRA or community development department. They'll be sure to help you there. Yeah.
You will be receiving a email afterwards with just a short survey, less than 60 seconds, but we just wanted to see what you thought of this. If you have any suggestions for future programming in order for us to keep going with these kind of short sessions to be able to continue promoting collaboration and whatnot through the partnership program. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.